Giant's Bread by Agatha Christie, writing as Mary Westmacott. Read by George Cole. Prologue. It was the opening night of London's new National Opera House, and consequently an occasion. Royalty was there, the press were there, the fashionable were there in large quantities. Even the musical, by hook and by crook, had managed to be there, mostly very high up in the final tier of seats under the roof. The musical composition given was The Giant, a new work by a hitherto unknown composer, Boris Groen. In the interval after the first part of the performance, a listener might have collected the following scraps of conversation. "Quite divine, darling. They say it's simply the latest. Everything out of tune on purpose. And you have to read Einstein in order to understand it. Yes, dear, I shall tell everyone it's too marvellous. But privately it does make one's head ache. Why can't they open a British opera house with a decent British composer? All this Russian tomfoolery?" Thus a peppery colonel. "Quite so," drawled his companion. "But you see, there are no British composers." "Sad, but there it is." "Nonsense, don't tell me, sir. They just won't give them a chance. That's what it is. Who is this fellow Levin? A dirty foreign Jew. That's all he is." A man nearby, leaning against the wall, half concealed by a curtain, permitted himself to smile, for he was Sebastian Levin, sole owner of the National Opera House, familiarly known by the title of the world's greatest showman. He was a big man, rather too well covered with flesh. His face was yellow and impassive, his eyes beady and black. Two enormous ears stood out from his head and were the joy of caricaturists. The surge of talk eddied past him. Decadent, morbid, neurotic, childish. Those were critics. Devastating, too divine, marvellous, my dear. Those were women. The thing's nothing but a glorified review. Amazing effects in the second part, I believe. Machinery, you know. This first part, Stone, is only a kind of introduction. They say old Levin has simply gone all out over this. Never been anything like it. Music's pretty weird, isn't it? Bolshoi idea, I believe. Noise orchestras, don't they call them? Those were young men, more intelligent than the women, less prejudiced than the critics. It won't catch on. Stunt, that's all. Yet I don't know, there's a feeling for this Cubist stuff. Levin's shrewd. Drops money deliberately sometimes, but gets it back. Costs? The voices dropped, hushed themselves mysteriously as sums of money were mentioned. Those were members of his own race. Sebastian Levin smiled. A bell rang. Slowly the crowd drifted and eddied back to their seats. There was a wait, filled with chattering and laughter. Then the lights wavered and sank. The conductor mounted to his place. In front of him was an orchestra just 6 times as large as any Covent Garden orchestra, and quite unlike an ordinary orchestra. There were strange instruments in it, of shining metal like misshapen monsters, and in one corner an unaccustomed glitter of crystal. The conductor's baton was stretched out, then fell, and immediately there was a low, rhythmic beating as of hammers on anvils. Every now and then a beat was missed, lost, and then came floating back, taking its place out of turn, jostling the others. The curtain rose. At the back of a box on the second tier, Sebastian Levin stood and watched. This was no opera as commonly understood. It told no story, featured no individuals. Rather was it on the scale of a gigantic Russian ballet. It contained spectacular effects, strange and weird effects of lighting, effects that were Levin's own inventions. His reviews had for long been proclaimed as the last word in sheer spectacular sensation. Into this, more artist than producer, he had put the whole force of his imagination and experience. The prologue had represented Stone, man's infancy. This, the body of the work, was a supreme pageant of machinery, fantastic, almost awful. Powerhouses, dynamos, factory chimneys, cranes, all merging and flowing, and men, armies of men, with Cubist robot faces, defiling in patterns. The music swelled and eddied. A deep, sonorous clamour came from the new, strangely shaped metal instruments.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?